Right, hi, good afternoon. So, as you can probably all see, I'm joined by Ed, and still probably floating on the cloud that is treacherous. Are you?
Yeah, very much so. A fantastic day. Everybody wants a Saturday afternoon winner and a Saturday afternoon at glorious Goodwood, or the Qatar Goodwood Festival, whatever they call it now. Amazing. The horse has been an absolute legend. He seems to be getting better and better. Hello?
Yeah, no, it broke up a little bit, but no, crack on. You're all right. We've got it.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah. So, no, really pleased. The horse seems to be improving all the time. And I think I said on the telly, if some of your viewers saw it, we were thinking about giving him a break. But it seems that now his handicap mark is matched up with his all-weather mark. He's as good on the grass as he was on the all-weather. So myself and the owner not overly keen to be going sort of all through the winter, so we could do a bit of both. So we're carrying him on the grass. We'll try and find a suitable option. We've potentially earmarked a race at the Curragh, because I think, yeah, well, there's a good sprint handicap there at second week in September, which he would have got into last year. I think it's 125 euros. So it's proper prize money. Obviously, the prize money on Saturday was pretty diabolical. The Stewards Cup was 75 grand, and it's normally, I don't know, what is it, 200, and our race was 20 grand, and it would normally be 70, I think. So I feel like we need to perhaps look abroad if there is a suitable option.
I can't blame you for that.
To make it worthwhile. I mean, the horse has won 5 races this season, and had it been under normal circumstances, what sort of prize money would we have won? It would have been, would have paid for the training fees for 3 horses for 3 years, sort of thing. So, but look, it is the way it is, and there's not a lot we can do about it. He's still picked up good money, so we mustn't grumble too much.
Yeah, no, I think it's, they're the kind of, without going off on this whole tangent down the prize money thing, because I think it irks a lot of people, but it doesn't tend to affect what we do in crowd racing and the Golden Green crowd, because one, we split the horses so thinly, whether it's the impact is not as significant as it would be. Plus, we tend to have horses that are running in races that used to be worth 3.5 grand and now worth 2,007. So the ratio is not quite there. But when you get, people like the guy who owns Treacherous, and you manage to get to a race, you see, on a Saturday at Goodwood, and you go and win that race as well, and lose out on the best part of £50,000 in prize money on what would have got previous years.
Yeah.
That money really is gone, because the handicapper is not going to put up less because the prize money was less. You don't get handicapped by the amount of money you've won. You get handicapped by how you win the race.
Yeah, I mean that is the quandary, and I suppose in hindsight, you could have put him away and waited for next year, but you can't. Something might happen, mightn't it? So he had a I think it was nearly a £14 or £12 pull on the grass, and maybe it would have been right to preserve that for next year. But had he gone on and won next winter, let's say, they probably would have edged his handicap mark on the grass anyway. So and anything can happen. So while the horse is in good form, you've got to run him. It's just disappointing. One would hope that the lack of prize money, or the lesser prize money, would be reflected in the yearling sales come the autumn. So whilst you're winning money, hopefully you'll be buying yearlings at a 20% reduction to what you would have paid last year. But only time will tell.
Yeah, I suspect that there'll be people out there trying to capitalise and get bargains and still end up pushing the prices up a little bit. But I think it's going to be an interesting time in the next 6 months.
You're going to get the top end of the thin end of the wedge that are going to still be paying the good money, but the mid-tier market, your 60, 80, 100 grand yearlings, I say mid-tier, that's still but enough money. They've got to be 30 to 50. And the market's just not going to be there for them. You've seen the breeze ups and what have you, and they're talking clearance rates of 85% and prices obviously down a bit. So I don't believe a word of it. Is really the clearance rate 85%? I doubt it very much.
But, a lot of them have been bought back in, and a lot of them have been
smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, I know of at least four horses that went through the breeze ups that they've gone to a trainer, and there's a partnership being formed. It's like me saying, look, I'll buy that. I have a breezer. If you're willing to get someone to come in and buy it and train it for free for 6 months, we'll give you 40%, and I'll keep 20%. And because we think it's a really nice horse, and we're not going to get the value for it. And some trainers will do deals like that, others just won't. So there's nothing untoward about
there's nothing
other than that.
No, it's totally.
You should do that without going through the sales ring. And the only way through the sales ring, they qualify for bonuses and to qualify for the right auction races.
Yeah, I mean, the lads have got to get out of them, haven't they? So, of course, everybody's open for a deal, and as long as it's all transparent, there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing it. But, trying to tell the marketplace that you have an 85% clearance rate and everything's all right, and then you have a look at what's going on around you, nonsense. But, they're only doing their business, trying to puff their business up, aren't they, and keep things going. But I think in reality, cold light today, that is not true.
Well, even in my tiny world, I've never been offered as many horses in all my life, on all sorts of creative deals and ideas, and it's crazy, and I've even had auction houses on the phone offering us lines of credit, which we've never had before. Saying, you're planning on coming to the sale this year? Unfortunately not. And then it's like, well, would you like a line of credit? And, we can give you this long. And no, it's not going to work. It's not how we're going to do things at all. But, I think what just to go back slightly on the treacherous and then make a very clever segue, which is blatantly my attempt to get Matt Chapman's job. Treacherous was running off a split mark. Born to Finish has a split mark. You see, that's how is Born? How's he getting on? And where are we at?
Born is almost too well. No, he looks a picture. I will get you some pictures. You need some. He's getting turned out every day. I mean, the shapes he's causing in the field are unbelievable. He's back cantering now. He looks as good as ever. He would get on and do proper fast work now if we let him, but obviously we're not. We're building him up slowly. I couldn't be more pleased with him. I mean, he's in a very, very, very. He's a happy horse generally, but he's in a very happy place and looks fantastic. And those little niggles will have settled now, but we have to build things up in a slow, methodical way, which we do with every horse, and that's what we're doing. But I couldn't be more pleased with him.
And the plan is still to give him that as much time as we possibly can, with a view of him having a good, strong winter campaign.
Yeah, very much so. Very, very much so. I mean, a horse that's coming back from a problem, or a horse that's coming back from no problem, without a problem, we'd take generally 4 months to get them race fit and ready to hit the track. We can do it a bit quicker. A horse like him, because he had a small niggle, no, we wouldn't push it. So he'd be about 4 months. So he's been in a month now, August, September, October. He'll be ready sort of end of October, I would have thought, thereabouts, barring any minor hiccups. And then yes, go into the winter campaign with a good, fresh horse that's ready to rock and roll.
Possibly get him one turf run towards the back end just to take the cobwebs off.
I think we'll just have a look at, who knows what the program's going to be like. Hopefully it will have opened up a bit by then, but I mean, never say never sort of thing. But I think we'll go where the suitable race is. I mean, the ground probably will have turned by then. That's the only thing. So if you are looking,
I mean, that's always going to be. There'll be no point running him in a mud bath.
No.
As well as he swims at in your pool, I don't think he's going to be going through too much mud. Just thinking longer term from your experience, and just answer a couple of questions from some of the owners. Obviously, he's 7 now. He's going to be 8 before, once he gets back into his thing, he's going to be a couple of months away from being an 8-year-old racehorse. But being from Dog Angel, with the amount of racing he's had in his career, which really isn't excessive, there's no reason why he can't go on and race as an 8-9-year-old.
No reason whatsoever. No reason. I mean, just flipping back to Treacherous, I know he said he's 6, but he's still, there's some of these horses, 7, 8 can be their best years. So absolutely no reason. And just looking at his sort of zest and love of life, I don't see there being any problem whatsoever. To suddenly transform into 100 rated horse per season as he's ever had. Looks as great as he's ever been, and I don't see that being a problem whatsoever.
And I mean, I think really he's kind of in the space where he'd tell us when he's had enough, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, if he wasn't showing so much zest and he wasn't looking as enthusiastic in the field, and bearing in mind how much he's had a pretty tough 12 months. It's about, I think it's probably about this time last year that he first did his injury. When he with his stress fracture.
Yeah.
And he's had a winter where it's not really an ideal time for a horse like him to be having to stand around and trying to get that box rest to get the leg fixed. Then he's had a stable move, and he's had a couple of good runs, couple of not so good runs, and then ends up putting his foot through the window of a horse box. After I dragged him all the way up to Scotland to run through the swamp. So I think so it's not been the easiest 12 months for him, but he's still showing real good enthusiasm and zest for life.
Oh, massive! That's I think the box thing. He had a long journey and started having a proper little bronc in the box just before he got home, and it's just one of those things. These things happen. But look, he would have benefited from having a good long break, and he had a nice period out in warm weather here, out in the paddocks, and he's back in work, as I said, but he's still going out every day, and he's loving life. Half the yard are turned out at the moment. So some come in, some don't, sort of thing.
So what about Swanton Blue? Because obviously you always best laid plans, and I think if there's ever a sport that just you make a good plan and then it just slaps you in the face just for the hell of it, it's got to be horse racing. So we brought Swanton Blue on board to cover the gap when Born to Finish obviously was recuperating, and then Swanton Blue's needed a little bit of time off as well, hasn't he? So where are we at with Swanton Blue?
Well, Swanton Blue, as you know, we gave him a wind-up. He had 3 weeks or 2 weeks and 2 weeks standing in the box and then a week on the walker. He was back cantering after a month. I think he lost a little bit of condition to stand. His nickname is Chubbs, and he's a burly, big, strong horse, or little strong horse. And he lost a little bit of condition along his top line for him, but he's put that back on now. Now that he's back out and doing exercise, he's cantering away nicely. He won't have lost all his fitness by any stretch of the imagination, but he should be. Don't put a gun to my head, but if you did, I'd say he'd be ready by the end of the month. As I said to you when we investigated, he didn't make a noise. but there was an issue there, and it was significant enough to rectify with the wind up, hence we did it. And some of his pieces of work, and I certainly don't want to get you guys excited, but and I may have told you this before, but some of his, he used to work with treacherous all the time. Occasionally he'd work better than treacherous. So I'm not saying that he's going to turn out to be a 90 rated horse. Definitely not. But he is better than what he is better than what he is, and is more than capable of winning off his mark.
Yeah, and I think looking back at his races, he was showing all the signs. There was so much similar to how Born to Finish was running and how he was finishing off his races before Born to Finish got his wind up and Swanton Blue. And, you know, I mean, I'll never profess to be a vet. Never. You know, I struggle enough to recognise our horses, never mind see what's wrong with them. But you can see trends in races. And obviously when you watch as much racing as what I'm cursed with having to watch, you do start seeing things. And I think you're looking at things with Swanton Blue, and I think particularly on his Newbury run, where he was travelling for a while, where you looked at that and thought, if he can kick and take a length here, he's going to be difficult to catch, and he just went backwards. And that for me is unless you come back and find something physically wrong with the legs, that is typically there's an issue with the breathing. And he just hasn't been able to get his breath to be able to go on and kick. So
no, I mean,
this has been the key.
I think you, I think you know, I was bitterly disappointed. I thought he'd run better than that, a lot better. A lot of our horses tend to need to run when they first time out after a break. He, not so much. He normally runs quite well fresh, and there was definitely something there, and the horse came back sound and everything. But it was just, that's why we investigated it, and hence hopefully we've rectified it. So I'm hopeful of him in a month's time.
Brilliant. Well, I think that we've covered the vast majority of what I wanted to cover. I think, you know, I think, again, brilliant with treacherous. I think what it does do is when you have a winner like that, it suddenly reminds people that we have Born to Finish and Swanton Blue. And the messages that kind of dry down, because people kind of take a step back and they know that they're waiting, and you've got other horses running, especially now that we've got they've got the 11 horses pretty much there or thereabouts, and got the 2-year-old coming on board. So we kind of, there's enough going on to keep people at least a little bit engaged. But then when they see Ed De Giles running with a nice winner like that, they also think, hang on, we've got a couple of horses with that fella. What's happened to them? So my phone starts to beep, and so it's, I mean, this is a little bit overdue, which is entirely okay. But I do appreciate you taking the time, and I think it's something we should try and do a little bit more often. But and you are now on record saying that you're going to get us some photographs, so you will be reminded of that now by
I promise
a number of.
I will. I definitely will. I'll get you pictures of the pair of them.
Brilliant. No, I appreciate that, Ed, and thank you very much for your time.
All right, jolly good.
Cheers. Bye-bye.